All right, guys. Welcome back. This is a special episode of Earn Your Leisure.
1000%.
Yes. So we're not even gonna waste any time. I know you probably heard a lot of stuff on social media about Slutty Vegan, Pinky Cole, and Earn Your Leisure. We had to get the real in-depth vibe of what's really going on.
It was only right.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a teachable moment, I feel like, for our community. Pinky, somebody that we've seen rise. I feel like, a lot of people have seen your journey, right? And they've learned from your journey, from business to family, being a mother, being a wife, but everything, there's trials and tribulations, right? So there's some stuff that we did not know, as far as, I know you got into a car accident, glad that you're doing well. Mm-hmm. And then you had an issue where you lost a certain part of the company, you had to buy it back. So, all right, we're gonna jump right into it. So, okay. Like I said, we can go right to it. You're a familiar face at this point, so everybody knows you.
It's a three-peat.
That's a
fact. This is the three-peat.
So we saw on social media that you put a post up. I think you did an article with people, and you said that I'm the new owner of Slutty Vegan 2.0. Mm-hmm. I was telling you, I was reading the comments. A lot of people thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, because people don't read.
Well, that's true. That's true.
People don't read.
At first glance, I was a bit confused, and then I swiped, and I was like, "Oh, I get it."
So some people thought it was an April Fool's joke. Uh-huh. Some people thought it was just a publicity stunt. Mm-hmm. Some people actually thought that you were serious, but still didn't understand fully. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Nah, don't. Then the Maury thing came, and I was like,
"Well, that's why they thought. That's why they thought
exactly.
April Fool's joke." Okay, so what happened?
Well, first of all, it's interesting because I want this episode to be a true educational episode for people. I want when they walk away from watching this, they've learned so much. They have a different perspective on what entrepreneurship really is. Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes people see the lights, they see the flowers, they see the accolades, they see the accomplishments, but they don't see those sleepless nights. They don't see when you have to make difficult decisions on how to maneuver and navigate through your business. And I want to be able to show all sides of that, because I feel like when entrepreneurs have range, that is what makes them able to go in a room and dominate. And I just like to consider this whole experience now, when I look at it, hindsight 2020, as an opportunity to add more to my resume of range so that I can be able to inspire other people. So let me take you back. Y'all know I had this company since 2018. And Slutty Vegan has done a lot. We have grown tremendously fast. We have gotten a lot of accomplishments. I've graced the cover of Essence Magazine, Inc. Magazine, made the Time 100 list, all the Bloomberg lists, Ebony Power 100, Headline InvestFest. Everything that you think of, we have done it. There's nothing that I have not done. I have crossed off every single list, right? And we have done a lot of great things over the years. So I had a really strong 6.5-year run, just as far as marketing, media, press, publicity, right? And when you think about restaurants have like a shelf life of about 2 years, right? And once you get into that third year, it usually gets a little rocky. But fortunately for me, I built something that the world knows, loves, and appreciates. So y'all know I went off and I had kids. I had a baby in 21, 22, and 23. Mm-hmm. So while I was focused on being the mascot and the face of the brand and doing brand partnerships and doing the things that I love, because as an entrepreneur, there's a point in your professional career where you have to dominate in the spaces where you do well in domination. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I did that. And we did a raise. We raised money to grow the business. We grew up to 14 locations. And that was great, right? Like, we did a lot of great things.
$100 million, right?
Valued at $100 million. We got $25 million.
And for 25%.
Yes. And the company got valued at $100 million, right? So we've always made money. Money has always been good. That was never the issue. But what happened is our overhead got higher than the money that we were bringing in, right? So, there's some businesses that have like $100,000 bills a month. Our bills were like $1 million a month. upwards to, right?
For all the locations.
For all the locations. So when you're growing really, really fast and you got this really good thing and everybody's coming off, you get sold a lot of stuff, right? So like there's software, there's technology, there's all of these things. So the leadership is just bringing all of this stuff in, right? And it works for what we have going on because AI is the future. All of these technology is the future. But what we didn't realize is up under the hood was suffering. Right. So back in 2023, we realized that like, OK, we got a problem. And the problem isn't today. The problem is in the future and we got to figure it out.
This is like future guidance.
This is future guidance. Right. And again, revenue still coming in. Bringing in money is not the problem and has never been the problem.
Overhead.
It's the overhead. And I've always been public about that. Right. So I talked about how my corporate overhead was $10 million. And that is high for a business of my size. Right. But again, I ain't never grown no company before. And I stepped outside of the business temporarily to have kids and be a mom and do these things and do the marketing. But neither here nor there, this is where we are. So in 2024, I came back in the company and I let go of the whole C-suite. And I came back in the company January 2024, and I'm literally like boots on the ground, no pun intended.
So you fired everybody?
Yeah.
Everybody got
because you felt that they were getting paid too much, or that they was doing
it was a combination of a lot of things, right? But overarching, like when a ship is sinking, you got to be able to start patching holes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And those people, probably in hindsight, you're thinking like, this is the scaling model that they've said that is going to work. I'm looking at this now. This isn't working.
It just wasn't working.
We got to reverse course.
And there were so many different variables. And obviously to protect the interests of the people involved,
right.
There were so many different variables that came with it. And I had to do what was best for the business, which I realized that the business is what comes first. So cut all those things, had a couple million in real estate, started selling off the real estate. But I realized that we were too far gone. And for a couple months, I was fighting it, right? The conversation was like, hey, we need to put this into a restructuring. I didn't want to do that.
Were you in debt or you was just, were you in debt or were you just on pace to be in debt?
We were in debt.
You were in debt?
Yeah, we were in debt.
You started liquidating.
Yeah, we started liquidating. It's funny enough, and I hope he don't get mad for me saying this, I actually sold one of my properties to Robert Smith.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. My DC property to Robert Smith. And let me tell you something. It pays to have people in your corner, right? One, who are resource qualified. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
Because that was a pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert, I know everybody lean on you for everything, but I got this portfolio. I got this $10 million portfolio. Let me sell you one of my properties.
Had you had a relationship prior to that moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could pick up the phone and call him. He always give me advice anytime I reach out to him.
Yeah.
But to have somebody to do that for me,
yeah.
right? It pays to have people who are aligned with your vision and your mission to be able to like pull the trigger real fast when you need them to do that. That's why relationships are so very important, right? So I started selling off property, did not want to do a restructure because I'm like, we can fix this. And I'm like, I get to the point where I'm stressing myself out trying to fix this. It's compromising my quality of life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm tapping into my personal life to make sure that the business is still sustaining. Again, money coming in the business was not the problem. It's making sure that like my $100,000 a week burn can be covered. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So one day I remember waking up and I'm just like, you know what? I can't do this no more. I'm too busy worried about reputation. Right. And I'm too busy worried about what's going to happen and the opinions of other people. This is the ebb and flow of business. The biggest businesses in the world have gone through changes. Right. Like you think about the Hooters and the Red Lobsters and the Bumbles and all the big businesses that are very reputable have gone through changes. The difference between them and me and a lot of other businesses, most people don't talk about it. But I said, you know what? I'm going to use this as a coaching opportunity and as an educational opportunity to show entrepreneurs, especially startup founders, this is what happens when you do this. This is what happens when you hire too many people at one time. This is what happens when you scale a business. If you would have told me 7 years ago that I would be going through this, I'd be like, you lying. But guess what? I realize that I'm an educator, and beyond Slutty Vegan, the vessel for me is to be able to show other entrepreneurs that you can do this, but there is strategy and strategic ways to do it. So on February 13th, the company went into official restructure
This year.
of this year. So that meant for 43 days, I did not own my company.
Official, yeah, explain this official restructure. Can you just explain this?
So when a company goes to an official restructure, that means that the board resigns, I no longer own the company, and it goes into the hands of an assignee, right? And during that time, like, I have no responsibility, but obviously my name is still on it. My name is still on the door. So during that time, guess what I did? I'm still in the stores, making sure that everything is good. I'm like making sure that the store is opening.
And the public doesn't know this at all.
The public has no idea.
Right.
Who's the assignee?
It's a company.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So during that time, I'm still in the stores, making sure that the stores open up, do what they need to do, because at the end of the day, my name is the only currency that I have.
Right.
And this is with no surety that I would get my business back. I would be able to bid for my business because obviously I got a very popular company. People can bid to buy the business.
This is because that's very interesting, right? Like, you know that internally, but at the same time, I'm assuming people can now bid for the company that you built.
Sure. Yeah.
You're watching this transaction. Like, are you seeing the bids? You have like access to that, or you're just left in the
limited
blind?
access.
Wow.
Limited access. But let me tell you, when you call yourself an entrepreneur and you really love the shit that you're doing, like, you're going to do things that people are going to call you crazy for. Because everybody called me like, Pinky, like, the company went through a restructure. Why are you still in the stores? What are you doing? Why are you still like making sure that the store has what it needs and go? Because my name is on this. And I'm doing what's required. And I know that I'm not going to walk away from the thing that I built because I love it that much. So the process was it was a gruesome process, not for them, but for me, right? Because my pride and my ego got in the way. This is something that I love. And, you know, I put my blood, sweat, and tears in this business. This is all I know for the last 7 years. You know what I'm saying? But then I got really, really still. So if you notice, I went dark on social media. But I didn't go dark because I was sad and depressed. I mean, there was a little bit of that sprinkle, but I'm like, I got to go into strategy mode. I got to figure out, like, what is my next move going to be? What am I going to do? You know, as an entrepreneur and somebody who built a multi-million-dollar business. For the life of my business, I made like $70 million. This ain't no mom and pop shop. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, I got to figure it out. So I'm going in a strategy mode. I'm getting still. I'm not answering the phone for nobody. So everybody think I'm dead. What's going on with Pinky? She in the hospital? What's wrong? Because I've never been quiet. I'm a very vocal person. But I realized, God hit my spirit and said, you got to get still. You got to get really still. And I did that. And for 43 days, let me tell you, you know, I'm spiritual, y'all. So, you know, 4 + 3 is 7. That's the number of completion. So for 43 days, I went through a period of just trying to figure out, like, what does the professional life of this business, what does the legacy of Slutty Vegan look like? And the bid opened to buy the business. And there were a couple bidders. But obviously, I'm the face of this brand. Who's going to come and buy Slutty Vegan and not bring me with it? It didn't make sense. So I put the bid in for the business. And to be totally transparent, because I don't tell a lie, I had a strategic partner at first. I had a strategic partner.
So this, in between this 43 days, where are we at now? So this the 13th, right? Restructuring. We know that March 28th is a significant day.
Let me give you an even better timeline.
Yeah.
So the 13th was when the restructure happened. Then I look on the internet one day and Spelman College closes. And it wasn't me. And I'm like, damn, Spelman is closing? You know what I'm saying?
They closed. What do you mean they closed? They closed the
location.
Yeah,
they closed the
And
location.
you didn't even know about it.
I didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
'Cause we seen it like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I seen it too. But I also can get mad because this is the nature of business. And I think oftentimes as entrepreneurs, startup founders, and I've been guilty of it up until 2.0, we are also always so emotionally tied to business that we let our emotions get the best of us when it's just a business decision and it's nothing personal. You understand what I'm saying? And you know, I was just like, okay, all right, now I got to strategize. I got to do what I need to do. Okay, cool, boom. So I seen the news. All right, let me still get dark. Let me still get still. The bid came out maybe like, it happened pretty fast. Maybe like 18 days. It took about 18 days. Okay. The bid came out. There's a package to say, hey, Slutty Vegan is for sale. And I'm like, I can't let nobody else buy this business. It's mine. It belongs to me. Like my name, my likeness, my brand, the energy when you walk in a store and they call you a slut, that's my personality. Can't nobody else buy this. This is mine. And because I got something good. My sales are increasing week over week, 12%, right? So it's like, I ain't got a dud. Why would I walk away from that? I would never do that. So I put the bid in and I gave it to God and I surrendered. And, that was the first time in my life that I actually met God. And I don't know if y'all understand what I mean when I said that. Like, God always knew me, but I really just met God. But it took for this experience to bring me to my knees because it made me get even more spiritual. It made me realize that you got to surrender everything, and everything that's supposed to happen is going to happen. And I can remember getting a call from the assignee saying, Pinky, got some good news. You won the bid. And there was like a sense of calmness and still that went through my body because all of this time that I was worrying and stressing about the future and what was going to happen, it was mine all along. I just had to go through this period of pruning to be able to understand who it belongs to and who I belong to. And as a result of that, I got my business back and I signed on March 28th at 2:53 p.m. And I signed and I got my company back. And that was the best feeling in the world because I'm like, all right, now it's go time.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's bring it back a little bit, right? Okay, so you own 100% of Slutty Vegan when you start the company.
Yep.
Slutty Vegan goes viral, you make a bunch of money, and you have an opportunity to just scale, right?
Yep.
And you scale by raising money.
Yep.
You raise $25 million for 25% of your company.
Correct.
To me, that means that you own 75%. Right? Yep. Am I right so far? Which values your company at $100 million. Then you start to go into debt and you start to have some problems.
Well, no, it didn't happen like that. So I want to make sure you got the timeline right. So we raised the money. We opened up 14 locations. Just to give you some math, it cost about $875,000 per box to build a Slutty Vegan. And then we did that in the heart of inflation, the heart of the pandemic. So supply chain, everything. There was a lot of variables that came with this, right? So we did 95% of what we said that we would do, right? There's just life cycles in business and that happens unless you can raise more money. And if you don't raise more money, then that life cycle pretty much ends.
Hold on, let me finish. So what I'm trying to see is, okay, I'm trying to see, you own 75% of the company, right? How did your ownership get diminished to the point where it was up for sale or like you didn't have full control, right? Like that's the part that I'm...
Copy that. So it doesn't work like that. When you go into a restructure, you can own 105%. It doesn't matter. It goes into the hands of almost like an estate. Right? So you basically say the company, it's an assignment for the benefit of creditors. So you basically say, yes, I own this percentage of the company, but because of the company's debt, I am willing to sign this over to lose ownership so that somebody else can control the business.
It's like having credit card debt. And then, okay, so
similar to that, but it's not a bankruptcy. I want to be clear.
Not a bankruptcy.
Because bankruptcy and an assignment for the benefit of creditors are totally different, right? A bankruptcy is what it is. It's a bankruptcy. It's hard. It's ugly. This is not that. A lot of companies go through a restructure. Most companies don't talk about it because it never gets public. It never becomes a public thing. If I never said anything about it, nobody would ever knew about this.
Right. And you went through the restructure because of debt.
I went through the restructure because of the debt.
And so so even though you own 75% of the company, that didn't matter. Somebody could have still purchased the company and then then they would have paid you whatever amount was paid, and then they would have owned the company 100%.
Yeah, they would have paid the trustees.
And then the trustee would have made the payments.
And they would have owned the company. Correct.
So how much of a factor did the form of valuation of the company play inside of the potential sale or bid when it got to you?
Yeah, it played a part. There were so many variables. There was the debt, there was the valuation, how many stores. It played a part. Everything mattered. It was the IP, the likeness of the business. It wasn't just one thing that said, okay, we're going to give the business back to her. Because technically, I didn't have to go back and purchase my business. I could have said, all right, off to my next project. Somebody else could have just went up and won the bid and, could have did what they did. But it was important for me to reclaim my legacy. That was important. And when we did it, when we went to the restructure, I actually had 61% because I had other investors. So it went down from 75 to 61% because I did other money raises. You understand what I'm saying?
Now you own 100%.
Yeah, I'm back.
Well, you said you had a strategic partner. Did that partner stay on or?
No.
No. So that it's just you.
I did in the process, and right before I closed, I decided that I didn't want that strategic partner anymore. He's a really nice guy, but just the synergies, it just wasn't the right alignment. And I had to be honest about that, which for all the people that are watching this, and no disrespect to him, but the people that are watching this, when you go to raise money, when you go to get investors, when you get new partnership, this is a marriage. So you got to make sure that marriage feels right. It feels right in your spirit. You can properly communicate with that person. Like you don't have any apprehensions. You don't have any reserves or reservations, because if you do, you're going to regret it in the long run. And I wanted to make sure that I was very intentional about who I brought with me to the other side. And that was important for me. And it was a hard decision to make. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to the other side with peace, because I didn't always have peace at first. And I wanted to have peace this time.
We get in those conversations a lot. People talk to us like, you guys should raise. And even we've had conversations prior to this one. It was like, it's cool to be independent. It's great, right? You take on partners. Now you have people that you're married to. Now you've been on both sides of it. Like, what are some of the biggest lessons for people who are in that phase of like, hey, I want to raise capital because I want to scale, versus, hey, we're doing this thing independent and we're going to scale, at our own pace?
So I'll be honest, because I can't tell you a lot. I'm going to tell you the pros and the cons. So the pros of getting investors, right? And shout out to my investors. They initially funded my dream, right? And because they initially believed in my dream, it got me the opportunity to be able to do all the things that I needed to do in the business. And I'll never take that away from them, right? It is what it is. I'm a professional, right? But what I realized is when you want to scale, scaling is always a good thing. And if you can get private equity dollars, if you can get investment dollars, you absolutely should, but you have to make sure that the terms make sense. For me, I'm a creative, right? And having creative control is important. Oftentimes when you raise money, you are technically working for somebody else. You are working to get them their money back. No matter how you put it, you want to put it in Spanish, in French, you got a job now. It's a different kind of job. And what kind of job you want to have is really up to you. Like, do you want to sit and answer to people all the time? Or are you independent and say, you know what? I don't want to have to answer to nobody. I want to do my own thing. That's a decision that you have to make. Most people who want to scale and get these big valuations and exit for a high number, those people are okay with bringing in partnership, because there's a plus to that. It's strategic if it's right. And strategy and resources together is a recipe for success. So when you got good partners, they help you with new relationships. They help you get more money. They help you grow and scale. And then it's a recipe for like something so beautiful that will go down in history. Now, if you want to be independent and you want to do it your own, you can, but it's going to take you a little bit longer. But you might have more peace. Right? And you might have more ability to own the control of what it is that you're creating. For example, y'all got Earn Your Leisure. Who knows? You may bring in investors and they're like, we want it to be Earn Your Leisure. And this is how we want to do it. And we want to do it this way. And you got to be okay with that if you taking somebody money. Because what I realized in business is just like we're trying to build our legacy, investors are trying to build their legacy too. We trying to fund the dream and they're trying to get a return on their investment. So you can't get mad at them for wanting to get a proper return on investment and asking all the questions. And then you got to be honest with yourself. Is that the kind of relationship that you want with investors? As for me and mine, I'm at a place where I'm going to do what I did in the beginning and grow my business all over again. What I did do is, though, I showed some love to the people who initially invested in me, the smaller investors, the people who use their 401k and all of that stuff, because I know how much that meant to them to support my dream with what they had. So I rolled some of them over. And that was important for me to do that. But who knows? I may get investment again. Shout out to Fearless Fund. Arian Simone is like the GOAT. Like she was there to support me through this process and made it difficult. Kim Blackwell, Dora Whitley, my husband. Like, I had some people in my corner that was riding and rocking with me when the lights was off, metaphorically. You understand what I'm saying? Where I felt like I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired. I can't believe I got here. When people were encouraging me to keep going and not giving up. And my best friends who like really helped me down in this process, because it's hard. Somebody wouldn't have never been able to get through what I've been through. So now I'm going to share my story and inspire other people that if you want to do this business, it ain't just about Instagram posts and getting titles in magazines, you really got to do the work. And if you don't do the work, it's going to show up in the long run.
So when you brought your business back, right, I'm assuming it was pretty substantial amount. So being that you did it by yourself, was that like something that you had to actually figure out financially, like how am I going to get this money to actually buy it? And then was that something that you thought about, like, is this a good financial decision? Because you're still going to have to spend more money, right, on the store. It's not like this is just the only time you got to spend money. So being that you did it by yourself and not outside capital, what was your thought process in that?
Well, the good thing about this is that because the business still makes good money, I knew that it was a good financial decision. I'm actually in the process of doing a raise, but I knew that, all right, the business could sustain itself. So it just made sense. If it didn't make sense, I wouldn't do it, right? Because I got 10 other businesses that I'm running. But it made financial sense for me to do it. And now I'm thinking about the rebrand and bringing in strategic leadership. I just brought in some strategic leadership to help me grow and scale. This person has scaled their business to multiple locations, and they had an exit in 2021. So now I'm aligning with best in class. So before it was just like, all right, loyalty, and people who love the brand, but now I need expertise, real, true expertise that'll take me to the next level. And that really is important for this side of things because now the focus is international. We talked about Africa before we got on camera. That's one of the first places that we're thinking about going to Africa, doing India, doing the UK, possibly franchising, who knows? But we got some things in store. And this time it is all about strategy. And before, Slutty Vegan was a passion project. This time it's time for business. And what business looks like is getting the proper operators, right? Getting the people that really know about EBITDA and know about operations and profit and loss and like really communicating the business, and me sticking to what I know how to do best. And I'm a marketing genius. I know that for a fact. So if I can apply and put the right people in place and still drive the ship, then I know that it's a recipe for success.
You talked about the people being in your side. I'm always going to root for Derek, as a husband, as a father. I'm always rooting for him. But now we have the Hayes Hospitality Group.
Yeah.
So talk about how we're going to leverage, the collaboration and what that looks like for y'all.
Well, shout out to Derek because it's interesting because I've watched his journey for so long and the ebbs and flows he had in business. So as I'm rising to the top and my celebrity in business is rising and I'm doing all these things, he's on the back end shuffling, digging, trying to fix his business. So now he got the team, right? So he gets to grow his business and I see the elevation happening in real time. And I'm proud to be connected to that because that's a part of our household. So a win is a win. If I win, if he win, we all gonna win together because that's my husband and we're building this family. So when we think about Hayes Hospitality, we like, all right, you got this multi-million-dollar business. I got this multi-million-dollar business. Today, we bringing in $500,000 a week in business, right? As a household in our businesses. So we need to do what the big companies do. They come together, they build these big firms and utilize their resources to be able to strategize and grow. Why aren't we doing the same thing? Why you got a separate HR and I got a separate HR? And why you got a separate operations person and I got a separate operations person? We need to figure out a way to come together so that we can save money, right? Mm-hmm. So when it's time to sell or do whatever we do or go public, it makes sense. And that's what bigger corporations do. But nobody ever taught us that, right? Mm-hmm. We had to learn by falling on our face, trying to figure it out. So we came up with the idea to do Hayes Hospitality. And what Hayes Hospitality is it's a hospitality company that houses all of our companies. That is Big Dave's Cheesesteaks, Slutty Vegan, Sea Boys, which is Derek's new concept. I got a new concept that I'm about to announce that's about to change the game.
Oh.
And
Sounds
then
like a good place to announce it.
Yeah, and Bar Vegan. Yeah, you know what? It actually might be good to announce it. Should I? Okay. Yeah. So, all right, y'all ever been to
breaking news?
Breaking news alert, y'all.
Breaking news. Y'all ever been to Jersey Mike's before?
Yes.
So I'm creating the vegan Jersey Mike's. And it's called Vogies. Vegan hoagies. So Vogies, damn good hoagies.
Hoagies. Shout out to Philly.
Yeah, shout out to Philly. So this is a part of the Slutty empire. And I'm excited about that because now I got the Slutty Vegan brand. It's for the sluts and you want to eat a burger and fry and you want to turn up and get lit and be called a slut all day. And then I got this crossover brand, right, that is going to really be focused on catering and corporate sales and going in stadiums and doing all of these things. And that will be under Hayes Hospitality because what I'm doing is I'm building an empire that people can love and appreciate, whether it's vegan or not. And I'm focused on the vegan side, and Derek is going to focus on the non-vegan side. And together, we're going to win real big.
Congratulations.
Congrats,
in advance.
congrats,
No, that's
congrats.
killer. So let me ask you this. In retrospect, right, what do you think was some of the issues with Slutty Vegan? Obviously, you said that, you grew too fast, right? So yeah, like looking back on it, what do you think could have been some of the issues that you could have probably done a little differently if you had a second opportunity? And the second part to that question is the criticism. Do you ever listen to, because there's a lot of people inside the vegan community. This is not something new, right? But of course, people like to take shots at people when they think that they're down. So I've seen this more prevalent on social media now, like at least a couple of weeks ago, they're like, oh yeah, that's because it's junk food, stuff like that. So is that something where you're thinking like, okay, maybe we have a garden burger of just plant-based, like, you know what I mean? So, those are my two questions.
Okay, so I'm going to answer that question first. So I don't listen to the noise. Especially through the silence, I don't listen to the noise because what I realize is you can get so consumed in that stuff. And it's important for me to make sure that I got a clear mental because that's the only way that I can operate. If my mind is polluted with negativity, there's no way that I can win. So I don't tap into negative energy. That's the first thing. The second thing is what I did realize is that, I have a burger and fry brand for people who love burgers and fries. And this is a starting point for people who want to learn about veganism, but either don't know how or don't want to start with a salad. What I am doing, though, is I'm adding and increasing menu options to my menu. So I am adding a Southwestern garden burger, right? I am adding a gluten-free bun. I am about to add salads. So now everybody can appreciate if you don't want to eat soy, you ain't got to eat soy. Come and get something else. It's something for you. So Slutty Vegan ain't for everybody. This is not the brand that you're going to find on every corner. That's not what I created it to do. But it's for the people who love burgers and fries, who love vegan food, or who want to start out for the first time. 70% of the people who come to Slutty Vegan are not vegan. They are meat eaters trying vegan food for the first time. So that's my audience. And I'm going to continue to stick to my audience 7 years later. And I still got a great audience. People are still coming. People still love the brand. People still appreciate all that we've created. And I'm excited about all the new menu items that are about to come. So that's the first question. The second thing, not what I would do differently, but what I would tell the audience watching this. Your talent is your business. You got great talent, you got a great business. You ain't got great talent, you ain't got no great business. And your talent is your culture. And all of those things web together. So I am more intentional now about the talent that I bring into my business. I just brought on a headhunter to find me the best talent. I want best in class. I went to LA and everybody kept saying best in class, best in. I'm like, well, why everybody keep saying best in class? Because if you want to be the best, you got to align yourself with the best. And best in class means the people who, and not just looking good on resume, right? Personality, energy, experience. I want to know that you failed a time or two because then you know how to identify when you see it and you know how to help me fix it. And I want people to have that kind of experience. So best in class to me is people who have, like I said in the beginning, range. So if you are an entrepreneur with a camera, who I'm talking to right here, if you are an entrepreneur, okay, and you are growing a business and your business is booming and doing all the great things, it's not enough for you to try to figure out numbers when you are creative. You need to find a person that is at the top of the food chain in their business to come in and teach you a thing or two. That doesn't mean that you don't pay attention to it. That means that you oversee what's happening and you get to learn along the way. That is what I would tell any entrepreneur, because if you want to be the best, you have to align yourself with people who have scaled companies before. And it may cost you a little bit more and you cannot cut corners. I'm guilty of cutting corners with the leadership that I brought in. Like, okay, all right, well, let me offer them. Pay people what they weigh. If they good, pay them. Because they're going to work harder for you. And if they happy, they're going to work. And if they work, the job going to get done. And if the job going to get done, the business is going to continue to be successful. You know what I'm saying? That's really what I would say to entrepreneurs. Again, entrepreneurship, it's hard. It's the luck of the draw, to be honest. And you really got to like stay dialed in and stay focused and not take your hands off the wheel. And I'm excited to do it all over again. One thing about me is I'm a grizzly bear. So like, I'm going to turn this shit up like I did before. You know what I'm saying? And this time I'm aligning with the best. And being aligned with the best is really going to show people that like you can get it, you can lose it, you can get it again, you can have hiccups, you can have ebbs and flows. And if you got something special, which I know that I do, it will continue to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's a powerful testimony. Every time we travel, we seem to run into y'all. And I'm like, all right, we in the right space.
Every time.
That's why hearing it from you and hearing the trials and tribulations, the ebbs and flows, hearing, this testimony means so much. When you talked about hospitality, in my head, I'm starting to think like Yum Brands, and I'm thinking Darden. And I'm like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Part of that is mergers and acquisitions. I know it's early stage, but looking at the vision board, are you guys looking to find other restaurateurs or other businesses that you don't have to add to the portfolio? I remember asking you, like, what's up with the desserts? You're like, we tried it before, but we can't do everything. So is that like, that's something that you guys are looking out into the future for?
Yep. So we got a couple conversations right now. And I realize we can go stronger together. So there's a couple of vegan brands, great vegan brands that I've been talking to about acquiring them and making them Slutty Vegan, right? Because Slutty Vegan is bigger than just a burger and fry concept. Slutty Vegan is a lifestyle brand, right? Slutty Vegan is a dessert shop. Slutty Vegan taquerias. Slutty Vegan African food. Slutty Vegan Jamaican food. So when you think about vegan food, it doesn't just have to be one cuisine. And I'm tapping into different vegan restaurants that may be smaller in size, but mighty in menu, right? And those are the kind of businesses that I want to align myself with, because now we can bring your revenue into what I have going on. We can pool resources. It goes under the umbrella of Hayes Hospitality. You get some equity in Slutty Vegan, and we all win together. And that's how the big boys do it, right? Like there's a couple brands, big brands out here right now that's acquiring all of the similar brands to what they got and increasing their valuation size and growing their business. So I'm not going to do anything different. I'm going to do the same exact thing.
Are you still interested in, I know you, before it was real estate was a major part of your business model, right? Where you was trying to own the actual real estate. And then when we talked to you for our book tour, you said that that wasn't really a top priority for you at the moment. So being in the restructure phase going forward, is that something that is still of importance to you, or no?
It is important. It's funny because I was like in the heart and soul of dealing with that when I sat with y'all in that interview.
Yeah. Thinking about the timing here, late January.
Man, you don't look like what you go through. I tell you that.
That's important.
That's important as an entrepreneur. You got to have that poker face.
You got to keep your
You
composure.
got to have that poker face. When everything else is crumbling around you, you got to make sure that you stand 10 toes down and you keep your chin up no matter what, because people are always watching. But real estate is really important, and that's a part of the international expansion. Real estate, we've all watched The Founder, but that's initially where I got the idea from, like owning that real estate and doing it big that way. So I brought in some people who have the expertise there to support with me. So now it's all about deploying the business by way of the expertise. And this time I'm taking my time and I'm strategically doing it. And it's not a matter of like growing extremely fast. It's about making sure that operationally we are sound, that I have the right people, that the culture is continued to be sound. And that's how you win in business. That's what I'm learning. So yeah, the real estate is still happening. We are just prioritizing like what comes first in this whole rebrand, restructure, Slutty Vegan 2.0.
My final question is this, and you can look into this camera. What should people expect from Slutty Vegan 2.0? What does skin look like? What does growth look like? What does the stores look like?
Growth looks like a lot of things. First of all, I am actually going around to tell my story, starting on the 28th of April. And it's called Hustle to Empire.
Like a tour?
Yeah. Yeah. It's called Hustle to Empire. And I'm basically telling this story, but more in depth. And we're going on a 28 city tour. And I'm excited about that because I'm getting raw with, what happened in the business, where I'm going, and as a cautionary tale to inspire other entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs are suffering in silence. So when you're watching this, there's some people that's still trying to figure out how to pay their bills, how to pay their payroll, how they going to make it the next month. And they put a smile on their face and nobody talks about it because nobody usually is brave enough to talk about it, or they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want the fear of judgment. But just know that I see you and I feel you and I understand what you're going through. But this is the space where we're going to have those real hard conversations. And it's called Hustle to Empire. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the growth of Slutty Vegan. I got some really, 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 really big announcements coming with Slutty Vegan. But then I'm also continuing to look for the best. So if you are the best, come holler at me. Like I'm looking for the best, to align myself with the best. And it's just going to be bigger and better. And I'm going to rebuild the business in front of the world. So instead of me doing it behind closed doors, every step of the way, from my branding to my marketing, to operations, to the changes that we're making in business, I'm doing it in front of the face of the world so that they can see this is how you can rebuild and do it again. My cousin got a song called I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to literally do that again, and I'm going to rebuild something that's already great, already a household name, something that people already like. And when you know you got something special, you fight for it.
Amen.
That's a fact. Well, Pinky, thank you for coming and clearing the air. Everybody, go support Slutty Vegan 2.0.
That's a fact.
How many locations do you have currently?
So we went to the other side with 7 locations and 2 food trucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we still got the New York one.
We still got the New York one.
All right. Then we'd have to have another conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, hopefully we can get the food truck back at InvestFest this year as well.
It's coming.
But yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you. This is good.
Go support.
Yeah.
Support even more than you did before.
Keep up
Support
the great
new
work.
owner.
And I appreciate the education, because even I learned some stuff. So I know the audience is going to learn a lot from your testimony. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
All right, guys. That's it. Appreciate you for rocking with us. See you next week. Peace.
Peace.